Hello, everyone. My name is Joshua Gilliland, attorney blogger on Bowtie Law. Joining me from Legal Tech New York are my friends at Planet Data. We have Mike Wade, who's the Chief Technology Officer and inventor of the new patent that Planet Data holds pertaining to processing. We'll talk about that technology in just a moment. Also with Mike is A.J. Dobson, who is the Litigation Technology Manager at Willkie Farr and Gallagher. Gentlemen, how's the show?
It's great.
It's good.
We're really enjoying it.
Busy.
That sounds like legal tech. For the record, I don't have snow, so I hope you guys are staying warm.
I don't know about that. I think we got plenty of snow here. We'll send some your way.
We appreciate that. We have a drought still. Well, let's talk about legal tech and processing. Mike, tell the world about the patent that you developed.
Yeah, sure. For years we've been working with a lot of very sophisticated searches, concept searches, and we noticed some years ago an issue where context of data wasn't being maintained, and so we developed in-house a solution so that when we extract text, particularly from embedded objects, we could preserve the context of that text and how it's placed in the parent document. So what you end up with is a very true representation of what the author's intent was in terms of when you read the data and search it, you're searching that part. What people don't realize very often is that embedded objects contain enormous amounts of other data that's not visible in the parent document. So you may be injecting into a Word document, an entire spreadsheet or really large PDFs where visually you can only see one paragraph, but through the standard extraction methodologies that most people employ, you're also getting all that other text that came with it. And it can be very problematic, particularly when you start doing proximity searching, phrase searching, and weighted searches. They could all be impacted by that data that you're not aware of and also where it's placed in your document. And it's really important in concept search because if I introduce 100 pages of additional data that you're not aware of, it's going to change the scoring of those documents. So our patent was designed to maximize the trueness of the searches to what the original author's content was. That's particularly important in TAR-type workflows, conceptual search, and more sophisticated Boolean searches, even where you're doing proximity or phrase searches. So it really makes a much more accurate search. And these are almost impossible to validate if you're not doing this kind of work. So you're getting these silent failures in searches and you're not even aware of it if you're not doing this kind of processing that we're now doing at Planet Data.
Well, that's cool and fascinating. And how are people talking about it at the show? And Mike or AJ, please enlighten the world.
Yeah, I think it's about the old adage of garbage in, garbage out. So I think it's important. Everything comes back to search, whether you're talking about TAR or any other sort of analytics. It all comes back to search. That's what we're all focused on with culling down data. Whatever technology we're going to apply later down the road during the review, we're starting with search on processed data. So again, garbage in, garbage out. I think the patent that Mike was talking about, Planet Data's patent of keeping text in read order or displaying it or making it searchable as the author intended it to be is very important.
And it's interesting, a lot of people are telling us, we never thought about it, because people tend to take, as you talked about prior, processing for granted. And that's why I say you have to pay attention to these small details because they can have an enormous benefit to the outcome or even a difference in the outcome that's not recognized if you're not aware of it. So these are the kind of things that we do at Planet Data to ensure high quality output.
In my view, a lot of people don't understand the necessity of processing, which is why you frequently see in the cost recovery cases courts not giving processing costs because they don't understand why it's necessary for the production to take place. They get conversion to, say, native file to TIFF, but they don't understand the search involved in it being able to identify what you actually need for production. A lot of people just don't get that, and I think that's in part because it's not explained. Vendor invoicing might just say processing of native files, for production, and that doesn't give a court enough information to understand why it was necessary. So processing, in my view, is frequently overlooked on its importance. So what kind of reaction are we getting for this technology at the show?
It's been really remarkable. We've had a lot of current customers like Anthony come back to us and start asking questions. And what it's really done for us is it's engendered a lot of questions. Well, we really never thought about that. So it's opening up a much broader discussion and processing overall. Even back to mundane things like, creation date and times, we still fight those battles of, is that metadata correct? And this whole patent is really, I think, at least with some of our more sophisticated clients, has opened up that thought process of, we need to pay attention to these details because they do cause issues down the road if they're not correct. And the problem is, if you don't know that you have these issues, that's a real big problem. So I'm hoping, and from what we're seeing, I think people are really feeling that it's starting at thought process and asking questions. And that's really the important piece, is that people are aware of what they're getting and how they're getting it.
Yeah, I think as the consumer of e-discovery services, it's important. I appreciate vendors who come out and speak to us, talk to us about their technologies and how it differs from others. Because you're right, a lot of people aren't paying attention to the processing piece of it. I know I spend a lot of time speaking with my clients or my firm's clients, and also our attorneys, our case teams, about the importance of data processing and how vendors such as Planet Data and others differentiate themselves with things like text extraction, and why that makes such a big difference when it comes to searching.
I could not agree more, because I look at processing can be very helpful from determining search efficiency and then search adequacy. So if you're at the meet and confer process and you're debating about how you're going to look for what's relevant to the case, you're dealing with issues of search efficiency, and that's where reports would be handy, and understanding, the dates, the times, the data that's at issue, what's embedded. All knowing that would make the meet and confer process profoundly more effective. On the flip side, you have search adequacy. So if there's a challenge to a production, now the other side can say there's a gap of some kind, or there can point to some evidence that there should be more. The technology being able to demonstrate what more there is extremely powerful. Can you participate in both of those steps, and if so, how?
So, it always goes back to the old question with search, is precision and accuracy, the technology side, but it's really kind of maps on what you're doing. And, one of the things that I know AJ is very involved with is those kind of search reports you were just talking about that are very early on in the process, that we deliver kind of a standard part of our Exego process.
Yeah, I don't think, heaven forbid, I don't think you're ever going to go to a 26F and talk about indexing and how you index your data or extracted your text. I hope not, but it is important to be confident in the results you have. So if you've gone to that meet and confer and you've got in hand search analysis reports provided by the vendor, it's good to have that confidence that the text extraction was done properly, and that your searching was effective. You go into that meet and confer prepared.
Yeah, I would be blown away and giddy if someone could actually have that level of knowledge at a meet and confer. I do think people do go in with the baseline, some search efficiency of some kind. But yeah, if they went to the detail you just said, that would be pretty phenomenal. So
yeah, I think walking in with detailed search analysis reports is effective. Most people don't come to those meetings that prepared, unfortunately.
It's a goal. It's a goal, and I think it's a good goal for people to aspire to that. And if Planet Data can help with that, God bless you for it. We need that.
And it's a great planning tool. And as you go through the process of going from precision and to accuracy, so you're getting the breadth of the data, you need these kind of reports to actually track that process. So you can see how the evolution of your searches went over time as you became more knowledgeable about your case, more knowledgeable about the data, the custodians, And you can see that evolve with these reports if they're done right. And it builds a sort of a breadcrumb trail that you can, at the end, go, here's the process we followed. You know, if we missed something, it wasn't for a lack of trying, because we've documented the heck out of what we were thinking and why, and here's what we did on the basis of those thoughts. And those were those search analysis reports. And in our Exego product, I know AJ is a big consumer of those search analysis reports for that very purpose. So they start at the very beginning, but they're just essential all the way through to an end of a case, and particularly cases that are contentious.
Mm-hmm. Well, it also helps us, I think, to talk when we're talking with the other side, talking with opposing counsel about negotiating our search criteria for culling through our clients' data. We tend to want to be more aggressive with that. So we're not just going to run simple search terms or key terms through the data and present that to our reviewers. We want to use things like proximity searching, which we can only be confident in doing if the text extraction process was adequate by the vendor. So that's why we go to those meetings with those reports sometimes, or if we get to the point where we're able to search data before that meeting, we have confidence that the text extraction, metadata extraction that was done, was proper and appropriate, and we can run those kinds of searches in prep for that meeting.
I find this so fascinating because we focus on this on the efficiency stage at the 26F, and we also focus on it when there's a dispute, so the adequacy point of view. It'd be interesting to see what happens with that level of analysis for processing comes into a taxation of costs situation. Would that be enough to educate the court for the judge to actually find a reason to award those costs? That day may come, and that maybe this is a step in that direction. It'd be interesting to see it tested. Well, let's shift gears and talk about end users, because when you start review, like not even document review, but you're trying to figure out what's there and you're getting to that processing stage, you don't know what's relevant and not relevant, and there's a lot there that you just don't know. Mike, can you explain how your patent can help people at this stage?
Sure. Again, it all goes back to search. And what we find particularly is you come out of our ECA product into a review process, you can use random sampling to run trials of your data, for example. And one of the things that we have really encouraged people to do is do those little random sample reviews, see what your responsive rates are, but also see what did we learn out of that review. Now let's take, we found some interesting piece of information. Let's take that and apply concept search back into the ECA, and then broaden that search to follow those trails of thought that you found in the review process. And that's where the patent really comes into play, because concept searches are very sensitive. You go in and you pick a criteria level of 70%. Well, what does that mean? Why is 69.9 better than 70.1? And these are very sensitive settings. So our patent really ensures that you're not hiding data because of all this other data that creeps in if you don't process it the way we do, because it changes the signal to noise ratio a little bit. So by following that path and looping back and forth and using a concept search along with the Boolean search, you can really drive into the things that you're learning as you do the review. Whether or not you're doing random sampling doesn't really matter, but you're learning all the time. So the trick is to go back, take that knowledge, extract it, use concept search or other search technologies to drive into that data that you now found that's important. Because you said when you start a case, you know very little. So you always want to be driving into that specific data. And that's where the patent is so important, because it really helps keep the accuracy of those searches into the areas that you want to be, and reducing costs, making it more efficient in the review process. And for the attorneys, you're delivering a better quality product for what your clients are paying you to do. So that's why we think this patent is really critical through the whole process. It's not just the processing piece, it's what it impacts downstream from the processing that really makes the difference.
So AJ, if building upon what Mike just said, taking that technology and bringing it to the lawyers and say like, hey, we have this, it's going to help us. How do you use it? And how do you tell the lawyers this is how we can use it to make life better for our client?
Right. As Mike had said, or as you had said, you don't know what you don't know, and you know even less about the text extraction and the processing that was done, certainly as an attorney or a consumer, sitting in front of an ECA tool on your computer. So, my department, Litigation Technology, works an awful lot with our case teams, various technologies like Planet Data's ECA Exego tool. And we explain to them, how we can do more than just standard, key term searching in this tool. We can apply proximity operators to further cull down this test for potential review. And then, as Mike also had spoken a little bit about, taking it a step further, when we find documents of interest, we can then use things like concept search to broaden, but we're broadening, but also narrowing our potential universe for review. So it becomes a fluid conversation with our case teams and with our attorneys about a particular piece of technology. And once we kind of walk them through it, we've gone now from simple date filtering and date culling, simple key term application, to now building upon that. And of course, attorneys are always happy when you can limit the amount of documents that require review.
That is so true. It's not funny. Having spent many an hour doing document review,
I should say clients are very happy when you can limit the amount of documents for review.
No one goes to law school with dreams of doing document review. I will go on the record saying that. We go with the desire to help people, to do justice, to make people's lives better. The idea of spending 90 hours a week doing document review does not sound like why we took 3 years of law school. That's just going to put it out there.
I've heard that before.
Yeah, it's kind of funny. So, gentlemen, any other parting thoughts on this new technology and how it can help us practice law more effectively?
I mean, from my perspective, I think any of the improvements that you make to text extraction, metadata extraction, are only going to help consumers like myself when it comes time to weed through, the unbelievable volumes of data that we're now weeding through. So any improvements to that process and the vendor's ability to speak with us about it up front and let us know what they're doing is extremely helpful.
Fantastic. Mike, anything further?
I think AJ really put it very well, and it's knowing that the details are being handled and those little things that you don't know about, and that's why we decided to develop our own technology, and we feel really strong about that. We're glad our clients also have a similar view.
Wonderful. Well, gentlemen, stay out of the snow, avoid frostbite, and I still have dreams of legal tech, New York, moving to California in February, but I'm funny that way. And if anyone wants to learn more about Planet Data's processing technology and their patent, please visit Planet Data's website and check them out.
And you can visit us in our booth at 2123 on the 3rd floor at Legal Tech.
Excellent. So we will include that for everyone listening. So everyone, thank you all and have a wonderful day.
Thank you.